What's up, everybody? Welcome
What's
to our
up?
Wednesday Privy video. This is exciting. Benson, I was working on that graphic this morning and saw it was episode 17 already. Episode 17 of Property Hunting with Privy. We are in the groove of things. We are rocking and rolling. We've covered from A to Z all the things out there to get buyers, to find deals, to doing it in different markets. And I feel like every week I just get more and more excited to do these lives because there's just so much value being provided. I mean, from obviously people in the comments already commenting, trying to collaborate, work together, to us just being able to be transparent. I think that's the one thing that's really lacking, not just in real estate, but like in general in life. People don't talk about the wins, the losses, the lessons learned through failures. And that's kind of what I like about these shows is that because there is no script, I really do just have to go with the flow of the conversation. We've got to do our best to obviously pull back the curtain and show everybody there's a lot of value to be said inside these calls, one, but then two, it's the inspiration and proof of concept that people need to get off their ass and go out there and like get to work. So I appreciate you, dude. I
Mhm.
mean, this is week 17 or 17th call, I should say. How's everything going with you? How's your day? How's your week? How's life?
It's awesome, man. I'm super excited. I was actually on a podcast earlier this morning with a guy named Michael Zuber, who's got this cool podcast book where he talks about, buying rentals, one at a time.
Mhm.
And we just launched a brand new rental data feature.
Ooh.
So we got rental data inside of Privy, and now you could run analysis on properties from everything from a cap rate analysis to cash on cash return to net operating income, annualized gross yield. So, a lot of people here already have rental properties, right? A lot of us, the plan is to build a portfolio of cash flowing properties, and that's what really builds wealth, right? Um, However, some of us aren't there yet, but this is a great time to start learning that skill set. Like, how do you analyze a rental property? So I,
Mhm.
I do want to touch on that a little bit today, but we do want to focus on like what our core competency is.
For sure. And dude, that's
Talking with
super,
agents,
super cool.
finding buyers, all that stuff. All of it works together.
I love it. Well, dude, that's super awesome. Is that feature already launched in Privy or is it like in beta testing?
It's already 100% live.
Let's go. That's what we're
Yeah.
talking about. All right. Well, Benson, I mean, let's jump into that first. Let's go through some new features. That's kind of one of the cool benefits to the show is that we can kind of be selfish, guys. Call it what it is. We have time with Benson every single week where as updates are going through, I always save to give feedback. But in this case, let's talk about some updates, some things that are new to the system, and how you guys can use the same thing to your advantage as well.
Very cool.
Let's go. And also, too, in the chat, guys, what market are we doing? We see Atlanta. I see South Florida. I see Fort Lauderdale. I see Richmond, Virginia. We've got another one for Atlanta. What market do you guys want to see? Let us know in the comments. Beautiful.
Cool. It looks like Atlanta is good. We'll take a look at Atlanta, but kind of just give you guys some like high level stuff here. There's a few different things that we started doing here in the new release that came out on Monday. Some of you are already Privy users, so you may have already noticed this, but keep an eye out for like more updates and stuff like that. For those of you that are already Privy users, there's an opportunity right now to upgrade and get access to the rental data. There's a right here in the upper right hand corner. You can do that for you can upgrade to the annual plan. If you're not a Privy user right now, you've been hearing about us talking about it for a long time that our pricing was changing. Our pricing changed. We actually increased it by 50%. So if you're a current Privy user, stay a Privy user. Otherwise, you're going to lose your current pricing. And then upgrade to the annual plan if you can, so you can maintain that grandfathered annual plan pricing. But what I will do is show you some of the new things that we have here. So we moved this deals bar over here to the left-hand side to make space for some new cool stuff that I'm going to show you here in a second, right here at the top. But it works the exact same way. So what you're looking at here is the data source coverage of Privy. And one of the things that makes us different from all the other platforms out there is that we're the only platform that has direct to MLS data on scale. And so wherever you see the blue ones is where we've got that direct to MLS data live. The red ones are coming soon. And then we actually have, Ryan, we actually had an improvement with a new data provider who helped us to increase
Wow.
the accuracy and timeliness of our third-party listing data. So our third-party listing data got way better, even in areas where you don't see the blue. So
love
there,
that.
you can still go and find deals in Wyoming if you want to. The data has been improved. The accuracy, everything is better in those areas as well. So
That's
that's
so awesome.
with one of the new releases. So one of the things that we teach people is you go and you look for deals where other investors are already having success, right? Because you need that data, the comps, you need the buyers, you need all that stuff to help you put together a deal. So over here on the left is where you're going to click this button here. It says fix and flip. That'll plot on the map where all the fix and flip type investments have occurred. And then you can choose, which market you think is the best. And so, some of these markets are just not as good as others. If we zoom into kind of where we're talking about, some people were mentioning some of the markets that I would never go and do deals in. I won't say where they are, but when you look at the map, you can see blatantly where you should be looking. It's wherever you see big blue circles. And I liken this to I think I mentioned this to you before. One of my favorite shows is Gold Rush. Have you ever seen Gold Rush?
I have not, but you've told me that in the past. Yes.
Yeah, so Gold Rush is a really cool show. It's on the Discovery Channel where these amateur miners are up in the Yukon and in Alaska looking for gold. But one of the things they learned along the way is that you don't dig for gold where there is not evidence of gold. And what they first started doing is they would go and they would just find an area and be like, God, there's got to be some gold here. Or they go and they do panning in a river and they look for gold. But what they got really smart is they brought in these big machines that have these long bores, and they would drill down 40, 50, 60 feet. And they pull out core samples. And they look at these core samples, and in that core sample is dirt. But then they're looking for trace minerals of flakes of gold and other traces of gold. And they only spend their money, their people resources, their fuel in digging for gold in these areas where the core samples tell them the gold is. And they learn that the hard way. Well, you guys don't have to learn that the hard way. The places where you should be looking for real estate gold is where these big blue circles are at. When you get closer to the area, it's going to give us more clarity on where they are at. And so you can basically use these blue circles as what a gold miner would use as core samples. They call it an assay. So you dig and you look for deals where you have larger circles. So right down in here is where you would want to search for deals because that's where the deals are at. And what creates a deal, you guys, isn't just a deal because it is. A deal is created by a fix and flip happening. When a fix and flip happens, it turns the unrenovated houses into deals. That very first person that does that first fix and flip doesn't make much money. Right, Ryan? Because why? Because the comps that they're using to prove after repair value on that house are unrenovated. So that squashes the value. I can't hear you, bud. You're muted.
There we go. Absolutely. And on top of that too, one of the other things that to make a note of is that I love how you broke that all down. I love that analogy. That's actually probably the best analogy I've heard for even referencing with Privy, being able to go and find real estate gold. The other thing that Benson had mentioned about going and understanding areas, the first fix and flipper in an area, they're kind of taking a risk. But what they are trying to do is take calculated risk. A lot of times, whether you're an investor that has a lot of flips going and you need to keep crews busy, or you're just a newer investor, or maybe even a seasoned investor that's just going for the base hits, not every deal that you flip is going to be 100K sexy check. You're walking through it saying, I turned this to this and I made millions. You're walking in saying, I turned this to this and I have a business. I'm an investor. So the calculated risk is first off by looking in these high investor activity areas. The thing that I really think is important is that what we talk about all the time on this show, finding the high investor activity markets by doing market research first. So what Benson kind of went over briefly at the beginning of picking the circles, guess what really matters when you're first starting? it's getting familiar with the areas. So right here, I love how you zoomed in on like southwest of Atlanta. So we're a little bit southwest of the city, but what we're looking is that there's a lot of deals that are being sold. So as an investor, calculated risk, even not knowing this market directly, I can make an assumption that if there is this many investor deals going on, meaning that they were flipped and renovated for a profit, or at least a gross profit from what we can see, I can make the assumption that this is a good area for deals to be done. Now, if you were to pick some of those markets like Benson had mentioned, Wyoming or South Dakota, or any of those smaller markets where there just wasn't the big blue circles, well, thank God we have Privy, because Privy saves you time and effort and energy without having to go and look in these markets and hope that you could go do a deal. Am I telling you that there are no deals in Wyoming or no deals in South Dakota? No, it's just that there's fewer. So if you're especially in the category where maybe you don't have rentals and you're trying to get your first deal, I don't advise those markets. I advise going into some of the bigger metro areas while also starting off in your backyard. You can handle a smaller market being in your backyard while doing deals virtually in other states. I'm doing deals in a very big market in Phoenix while also doing deals virtually in Florida. So with that said, the proof of concept, it's there. And very transparently, we're getting a lot of our deals right now in Florida from Privy. So with that said, I mean, Benson, I think that you hit it right on the head. I think that looking at high investor activity areas, looking for the gold using that specific strategy, this is the like forefront of everything. Like if you can't do this, this is the fundamental pieces to this entire business. And we're talking about market research, identifying areas, understanding what buyers are looking for and creating those relationships, and then worrying about acquisition.
Yep. One of the things that's new too here, see at the top, Ryan, we now have local agents being displayed in your target areas. So Ebony Horn is an investor-friendly agent in the Atlanta market. So if we click this button here, that actually shows us her profile with her email.
This is awesome.
Phone number. Yep, her website. And she actually is a Privy user, so she knows how to use Privy. So when you send her a shared link, let's say I wanted to send her this house right here, I can click the share button. She'll know what it is because she uses Privy.
Wow.
And she's just one of several agents that are actually doing business in this area.
So how does one get the label of Privy agent?
They're a Privy user.
So is this just every user that's in Privy that's an agent gets put inside here if this is their area that they're licensed?
If they say that they're looking for clients. So when they sign into their account, they have to check whether or not they're looking for clients. If they say no, they won't show up on this list.
So just to make sure I'm really breaking this down for everybody, I am an agent that is investor friendly, that is also a Privy user, meaning I'm probably familiar with a show like this. I'm probably familiar with ARV, investor activity, deals needing to be at certain prices to make sense. These are agents all right in front of me.
All right in front of you.
So is this open to every Privy user in every account?
Every Privy user in every account. And these are in our direct to MLS areas. So you won't see this in Wyoming. Okay.
Wow.
Now to start, we show you an agent, and I don't know how they filter them, but you can switch it. So like if you scroll through and you're like, I like Ebony, she looks cool, but let's see what Robin's doing. So you can click Robin's profile and then see what Robin's up to and be like, oh, cool. Well, she focuses on, my neighborhood. I'm going to select her instead. So now she shows up at the top. And then she's one click away if you want to, get her info and contact her or whatever. So this is one of the things that we've been working on in the background that is been highly, sought after, along with the ability to search for rental properties, which we'll show you here in a second. But I wanted to kind of just point that out here that this is brand new for you too.
Wow. That's insane.
So one of the things that Ryan mentioned about doing your local market research is crucially important because right now we're talking about areas, right? Like we know that Atlanta would be a good area to look for deals. But then the next question is, well, what is a deal in Atlanta, right? Because a deal in Atlanta is different than what a deal is in Dallas or Sacramento. So all you do is you just click one of the properties over here on the left that was recently closed. And then you open that property up in our live comparative market analysis. And this will help you do your market research. But this is also how you're going to analyze any properties that you find in the future is using this CMA. So this is an algorithm powered comparative market analysis that as an agent, I don't have as access to this in my MLS, right? Ryan, like
Correct.
when you go into AZ MLS, you don't see any of this stuff.
No, I've got to dig. I've got to go in. Especially when we scroll down, we see the comparables on the same screen, and we start talking about before and after photos and tax records. It's typically jumping between different tabs. It's trying to figure out on each and every MLS. It's different. So having it all in one resource, I always tell people very, again, transparently, one of the biggest key factors for us using Privy, we actually reference it even in Arizona. We do like the MLS being licensed out there, but Privy is a hack for us for being in states that we're not licensed, and especially in some states where the information is private. So having a resource like this, like in Atlanta, we get deals sent to us in Atlanta, and this is exactly the process I would do. I would go and try to find a buyer first with this tool. I'd be able to see that this property was bought on the MLS in February of this year. It was then sold in July of this year. You can see the price they bought it for, the price they sold it at, what percentage of ARV. That is nowhere to be found on the MLS. I would have to manually go in and see they bought it at 140 and sold it at 335 from 2 different MLS tabs or searches. So it makes my life so much easier.
And then the other thing to key in on, you guys, is the percentage of ARV. This is kind of how we define what a deal is. So percentage of ARV, typically in most markets, right around 75, 70% is where things start to look like deals. Now, in Los Angeles, it might be 78% is a deal for them. Mm-hmm. But in Chicago, it might be 50%. So that's why we pick 75 to start, is because it's kind of in the middle. And it's a good, fair number to start looking at. But when you're doing your local market research and you're trying to understand like what buyers on the ground are actually buying properties for, what prices, what are they selling them for, what percentage of ARV they buying them at, that's when you start to really ingest like what a deal is. And
mm-hmm.
and this is the thing with a lot of beginners is like, oh, I'm looking for, I haven't done my first deal yet. And my question is like, do you even know what a deal is? Because a lot of times, you guys, you're passing up on properties that you don't think that are deals
mm-hmm.
because you haven't done your research yet. And this is how you do your research. This is how you become a local market expert. If you haven't done this level of research in your market yet,
you should not be writing an offer.
Deal if it smacked you in the face, honestly. Right?
1,000%. And also, too, I will get up there, and I've been using the word karate chop a lot recently. But I'm like, I will get up there and I'm going to karate chop every single one of you that is out there just blindly submitting offers without having done market research or having your buyers lined up. I always make sure, for those that are especially agents watching this, I am one of you. I promise I understand what your thoughts are. We are not condoning bad wholesaling. I'm trying to teach people how to do this the right way, which is when you've done your market research, you can speak like an investor confidently. But more importantly, the confidence comes from experience and from having a legitimate relationship with an end buyer. So we can go in and talk about it a million different ways. Benson, I love how you pull up this too, because this is a great point. You can go directly to the buyers through Privy if you wanted to. The reason I like working with agents is just that it's an easier approach. You're not going to get cussed out by an agent. Every now and then if you're sending out texts with platforms, you'll get a bad, salty agent that's like, screw you, stop spamming me, or there's no deals on the MLS, or no one's buying your deals. Great. That's not somebody you want to work with anyway. Inside this software, you have the flexibility that you could go and get the information from the buyer, and you could go and pull that information and call them directly, or you could call the agent. I like the agent approach just because it's easier. One-to-many approach is awesome. But then on top of that too, I just feel like there's truly so much potential by building win-win scenarios. So if an agent doesn't find value in what you have to say and what you're offering, that's called growth. That's called learning. What can you do on the next phone call to maybe provide that extra value? The book that I was just recommended by one of my best friends in real estate, Tyler Blair, he's been talking about this for a while now, and he's finally just like, dude, you need to go buy it. It's Prime Day, probably getting the pulling the trigger, but it's called Unreasonable Hospitality. The unreasonable hospitality is that whenever something is going to be at the extreme of what you could do in service, what is a step further that you could take it that shows that unreasonable hospitality? When you're talking to agents, if you don't have that one extra thing that stands out, I was talking to a couple of guys yesterday, and they were like, well, what does the conversation look like? I'm like, it's basically looking at what your competition is, which is, hey, are you still a licensed real estate agent? Hey, are you still licensed? I'm trying to go and find off-market opportunities. It's 2023, month 7. You got to be a little bit better than that. Artificial intelligence is booming. We can have computers have better conversations that sound less robotic than what a lot of your competition's using. So if you can't find a way to go and say something personal in a conversation that provides true legitimate value, I love you, but the problem is you, not the system. So go and find a way
Right.
to do a little bit better and show up to these calls and write down questions, ask them live, or even tell us what you're working on. Let's work on this together. This process is broken down so easily to where I think anybody could do it, licensed or unlicensed. So, what do we need to work on? How do we improve every single day? And let's go and get some deals. Do your market research, find the buyers first.
Yep. Find the buyers first. Ryan mentioned find something to talk about. Look at the pictures on these things. This is one of the other things that really helps with these conversations is these really good photos. You're not going to find that on other platforms. And so you want to use these pictures to your advantage. Number one, it helps reinforce the fact that the deal was flipped, right? You see kind of like these red flags of what a flip looks like, right? It looks brand new. Sometimes you'll see like the blue film on the fridge and the stove, and you'll see that it's been staged, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is a flip.
Mm-hmm.
This property is representative of the after repair value if I can find a similar house in the same area.
Yes, sir.
Then when you start calling the agent, like Adrian on this one, Adrian Sherwood, she's an investor-friendly agent with Bolst Inc. You can talk about the house. You can say, hey, I'm not sure if you were the one that did this or if you were, the agent, but man, I love the way they did that backsplash. I love that wall that they put and built over, with the fireplace. Like, I actually legitimately think this is really cool the way they did this. Like that's a statement piece right there. And this is something that you could talk about with your conversations that will help turn that cold call into a warm call.
So
that transition can be difficult to do if you're not using the actual data. And data, there's data like quantitative data, like it's sold for 470. Qualitative data is what starts to build rapport. I can't believe how quickly you guys flipped this property. I can't believe it only took you 233 days to have that enormous transition. Wow, you guys sold that thing in 43 days after you put it on the market. That's perfect. Wow, I can't believe you bought it at 52% of the ARV. Everyone I know is buying properties over 60% in that market. So all this stuff can be used to build that rapport early on in the conversation without even having to try.
Mm-hmm. So Benson, I want to call this one because I think it's a great example. Let's have some fun with it. Like, do you think I mentioned something specific about the property? Do you think I mentioned days on market? Do you think I mentioned we've got relationships in the air? What do you think? Give me some talking point.
Well, I think that based off of your initial question, like, were you involved in this deal? Like, if she says no, I wasn't involved, I was the agent, then like, how fast the construction isn't as important, right? Because they have nothing to do with that. But the days on market, I think
if she was just the one helping us sell it, if she was the one that was doing the flip, I think we go and compliment the property, talk about some kind of remodel, talk about even the fireplace. And if she wasn't involved, she's just the agent. I'll be like, man, looks like you sold the thing fast. That property is amazing. So we're going to go in with more of the complimentary. I don't want to say like kiss ass, but kind of like kiss ass a little bit. Hey, what's up? This is amazing. Are you guys looking for another flip? Remembering the intention of every single conversation is super important. So in this case, what we're doing is we're going in saying, hey, what's up, Adrian? Just calling. Looks like you just sold the property on Beecher. I think that was yours. Were you the flipper or were you the agent? What was your role? Notice how I'm kind of like stuttering a little bit and doing like, what did you do? You do that because one, it takes down their guard, shows you're human. But two, I'm able to indirectly get the answer to a question that I had, that if I were more likely to go and say, hey, Adrian, this property you just sold on Beecher Southwest Road, beautiful job. Was that your flip or was it an investor client? She could still answer that, but it's 50-50. Where if I go in and I say, hey, I think you just sold this property. Was this your flip or were you the agent? What was your role? It's more like a 70-30 that she's gonna be like, that was my listing. And then I could follow it up with, oh, awesome. Well, if you don't mind me asking, did you flip it or was it just your listing? She's going to open up and she's going to tell me everything about this property. So first off, we got to get them on the phone.
Yep. And while you're pulling that information up, you guys, one thing to know is look at the property history and then look at the name of the person and their brokerage before you call, because sometimes that will key you in on if whether they were the flipper or not.
Your call has been forwarded.
Double dial. She just texted me. Sorry, I can't talk right now. No worries.
It's one of those autoresponders.
It's okay. We're going to think positive. She's just out with the client. She's out at a listing appointment. It's going to be my next deal she's going to bring to me. It's fantastic.
Well, that's actually better than most agents. Most agents don't even have that autoresponder.
Auto text sign. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves. I hate throughout the day, like when I'm calling people and they just crickets. I'm like, how are you licensed? Again, I'm licensed. I can say all this. Don't take offense. Don't cancel me. But like, if you're a licensed agent, you're not answering your phone. It is literally money on the table. Legitimately money on the table. Go get a job. Let's move on to the next one.
Cool. So actually, initially we found, what was the one we found? This one. So this one was by Rochelle Blackwell of Redfin.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a money conversation if I can get her on.
The other thing I want to note, you guys, is that last house we looked at was purchased at 52% of the ARV direct from seller. So whoever found that property initially had to generate that lead somehow. So they likely did cold calling or skip tracing or knocking on doors or mailer to generate that lead. They got it 10% higher, which is a worse deal than this house that this person got at 42% that they bought from the MLS. So if you think that off-market properties are going to yield you the deals that make the most money, that's not always the case. This is a perfect example of a house that was acquired from the MLS that was a 10% better deal than one that someone had to likely spend money on marketing to find.
Preach it. Also too, in this case, guys, don't be scared to call Zillow agents, Redfin agents, a lot of times, and bless their heart. If you're one of them, it's fantastic. I understand why you're at that brokerage. You probably have a less split, but you're getting a lot of leads, a lot of opportunities. So we're going to try to see what is up with Rochelle. What do we got going on with some deals? Is this property on Graymont Southwest Drive? Was this your listing, or was this what happened? Also really fast, I do see this question. I want to acknowledge it. Lamore, do you ever have a problem with buyer's agents telling the listing agent that you're shopping their deal when you get it under contract? Because we're transparent talking about things? Absolutely. So what do you think I do to that buyer agent? Karate chop them. Just kidding. I get them off my buyer's list. I don't send them properties. If you're going to go in around me and you're going to go have a conversation with an agent about what I'm doing that had none of your business being involved in it, that's called wrong business. That's like if you were to go, I'm so bad with analogies, so bear with me. That's like if you go to Costco and you found out Costco bought whatever crate it was in bulk and you went around Costco to the provider, whoever that wholesaler was, to try to get a better deal. Is that resourceful? To an extent, yes. But also, too, are you cutting out the middleman? For what purpose? Why? Is it to try to feel like you're getting that leg up? Because I promise you the speed and convenience of just going to Costco and getting a deal that was presented to you is worth it. So in this case, if you were to have an agent go around you and tell the other agent, hey, this person's not really buying the property, blah, 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 two things. First off, karate chop them. They're off your list. Two, we can go in there and understand that at the end of the day, if we're going and having enough conversations, first off, this shouldn't matter. Like, we are fine. The other agent is going to be understanding of what our model is because hopefully we've disclosed wholesaling, but also we have an equitable interest right, which allows us to market the property. If you have a legitimate buyers lined up and you are able to go in and get an offer from a buyer before getting a property under contract, or you get a property under contract with an option or a JV or whatever it is, you bring it to your buyers, having legitimate buyers will set you apart from everybody else. If you're going in and just throwing something at a wall and hoping it works, I promise you're going to struggle and you're going to have a lot of cancellations.
I will say too, Lamore, that likely was because you also didn't set the expectations of what that agent's role is. So that's a conversation you have up front. Like once you get them on board with the business model, if they didn't know they shouldn't go talk to the other agent, that's probably a communication issue, right? So make sure that your buyers are in line with what the business model is and what they should and shouldn't do. And talking with a listing agent about you shopping it is a definite no-no. So you don't necessarily have to karate chop them the very first time, but you might give them a little like hug and say, hey, let's not do that anymore. Are you cool with that? If they say no, then you karate chop them.
So that was kind of my thing too, is that at the end of the day, I always go off of intention. And so if someone's going to go and tell the other agent after I send them a deal to send to their buyer, if they call the agent around me and say, hey, did you know that Ryan Zolan is doing X, Y, and Z? Buyer's agent, I love you, bro, and I will give you a hug. But that is also going to be like a brotherly hug of I'm no longer doing business with you. You showed me your true colors. And that's all personal preference too. Benson is playing good cop, bad cop here, which I think is great for variety. Benson is just nicer than I am. When someone goes around me in a transaction or they show any ill will, bad intent, goodbye. So we are now going to say, let's talk to Rochelle. Let's go ahead and make some buyer relationships.
This is Rochelle.
Hey, Rochelle. My name is Ryan. I'm trying to find, I'm not sure, was it your listing the property for Graymont, Southwest Drive in Atlanta?
Yes.
Gotcha. I think that one, did it just sell or was it still available?
It's sold.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm trying to find a realtor out in that market. I'm doing some deals with some other people and we have some opportunities. I'm not sure if that was your flip or your listing, but I was just trying to get in contact because it looks like it was a flip. So I was just trying to see if you guys were looking to buy some more properties.
Did you call me yesterday?
I did not, no. I mean, maybe someone in our team or someone similar, but no, I didn't call.
Maybe it just depends on the property. If it's at least a 3-1 or 2-1.
3-1. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, did you get another call yesterday from somebody else kind of doing the same spiel?
Everybody is calling me the same. Doing the same thing as you are. Oh, is that your listing? Oh,
yeah. So, Rochelle, how do I stand out? Because I want to be the person that tells you I'm different.
I really don't know. I mean, it's all the same thing. Are they wholesale? That's what you're doing, wholesale?
We got wholesales, we got flips, we got rentals, whatever you need to see for me to see that we are different and legit, I can provide that for you.
Well, you can shoot me an email.
Okay, I can do that. It looks like, I mean, you do a lot of business. Are you selling just a lot of flips, or are you flipping yourself, or what's kind of your role?
No, I have investors.
You have investors. Okay, perfect. Well, I think we can do some business together. I want to show you that we can be a little bit different. I will send you over an email with our stuff. It'll have a Dropbox link of some of our past flips and stuff as well. But that's just to kind of show you that I'm a little bit different. At the end of the day, what I want to provide to you is it looks like you've got people that are buying. So yes, I do wholesale, but also too, I mean, I can have a variety of like tricks up my sleeve. So whatever it is we need, from creative finance to fix and flip to selling deals together to buying rentals, there's a lot of opportunity.
Okay. All right. That sounds good.
Awesome. Well, Rochelle, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I'll send you over that email shortly.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye. Tonality. I was soft there at the beginning. She's like, you called me yesterday. I'm like, oh, shoot. Which one of you did it? Like, I'm watching you guys. But like, also too, nice job. That means you guys are doing the right thing. How did I stand apart? Rochelle, how do I stand apart? I literally asked her, how do I stand out? Like, I want to be the one that you're like, Ryan. So by the end of it, if you notice, her tonality went to excited, talking about that. I even threw in there saying, well, what do you do? Okay, well, I fix and flip. I've got this. I've got that. First off, trying to stand out. But second, if you notice, I kind of went away from the buyer approach. I was like, well, let's talk for a second. Do you flip? Oh, no, I've got investors. I'm just a realtor. Okay, well, you're not just a realtor. You're obviously a badass that works with investors. You're better than most realtors. So let's talk about what happens next. Okay, well, Rochelle, I'm going to send you an email, first off. Second, I'm going to send you properties that I've flipped, some of the rentals we have, just kind of our criteria. But if that doesn't open up your eyes, that was a conversation I was going in for a buyer relationship just to show her I'm different. I'm showing her some of the acquisitions we've done. And now I'm going to say, hey, by the way, guys, if you have deals in Atlanta, send them over. We can connect it with Rochelle. She is one very, very, very good example. Lamore asked earlier, would she go around? That's the realtor. No disrespect to her. I don't know her that well, but I wouldn't trust her. So this is a property I'd want to have under contract with multiple buyers lined up, not sending it to her before I have it under contract because she could go around me. She has investor clients. Why wouldn't she? I would go and get this property under contract with an inspection period, protect myself, have 2 or 3 other buyers lined up in the transaction that would be interested in the property, but then also add her into the mix of people that would get the property sent to them. In that, setting the expectation, as Benson had mentioned, this is by appointment only. This photos are on the MLS, photos are off market, whatever it is. Do not go around me. Make sure to put that in writing some way, some form. Make it nice if you want to. But then also, too, set the expectation. I get a lot of my properties from the MLS, a lot of my properties from agents, a lot of my properties from other wholesalers, direct to seller, JV, whatever your model is. But you could find the buyer by going in and connecting it with her. If she's getting hit up by a lot of people, that means there's a lot of people probably trying to just like blow smoke up her skirt. Like that's not going to work here. You need to go in and provide real value. Why did I say Dropbox, past flips, rentals, anything like that? To stand out, to be different.
Yeah.
The reason I know I connected was at the end there, her tonality was very, very, very excited. That's what I want every single person to take away from that is this conversation going to be smooth riding, easy, whatever, again, horrible words. Like, is this going to be the easiest thing in the world? No, because every situation is different. She literally got called by another one of what we just did yesterday. She's getting blown up because the deal just sold and the information's on Privy, and all of you amazing investors out there are playing the same game. So now we have to talk about speed to lead. This closed 2 days ago. I'm 2 days too late. You need to be doing this consistently. You need to be working your markets locally. You need to be working your market, doing research. You need to be building your buyers list consistently. Because if I was 1 day too late and I didn't have the skill set that I just did on camera for you guys, I would have lost the battle.
Yeah. One thing I will suggest to you guys is that when you find your target market and you've done your research, you're like, okay, this is my market. Make sure you come in and save the search. So you go into the filter and then you come down here and you click save search. And then this will actually send you updates. So these things are happening in real time. So if you're at your 9 to 5, or you got family responsibilities, or you're on vacation, you don't want to be in here all the time, right? Because you got other stuff to do. And you should always be very conscious of what you spend your time on. So create the search, give it a name, and you can get updates every day on new flips that have happened in your market. So you're actually getting a cue like, hey, go do your market research. This property was just flipped. That way you're not in it all the time. So that's a really good way of making sure you've got your finger on the pulse of the market and you don't lose track of what's happening. We had a question from Avril, Ryan, that I think that you might have some good input on. So if she can't get any of the information about the buyers, right? Maybe she's trying to get it through agents, or she's just not reaching buyers. Like, how does she do that? Does she put them in like a queue and come back to them, or is she just moving on to the next buyer? What's a good strategy for that?
If you don't have a CRM, I would use a spreadsheet. A notebook is going to be very, very, very bad. It's going to be hard to keep up with that. So a spreadsheet minimum, what I would do is buyer first name, buyer last name, buyer email address, buyer phone number, if you have it or don't have it, buyer notes, last follow-up date, next follow-up date, anything along those lines. It's going to keep tabs of it. Maybe even put a buy box section as to what they're looking for. If you wanted to go the extra mile, put a category that says, here's how I got this information from Privy on this specific address or from this site, whatever it is. When it comes down to like what the follow-up process looks like, this is where it's like sales. This is like almost like the swag of the strategy. You got to like be consistent in this, but like doing it in a real genuine way. Don't just set them up on an automation and be like, hey, just wanted to check in, see if you have any deals this week. Everybody does that. So what am I saying? It's going and doing what the extra mile is, the unreasonable hospitality, right? It's the, okay, well, I'm going to put them in a follow-up queue. I'm going to follow up with that person in a few days. And I'm just going to say, what's up? Wanted to reach out. My name is Avril. Tried reaching out to you the other day. I was in reference to the property 123 Main Street. I couldn't tell if that was your flip or if you had just listed it. I'm trying to find someone that's interested in buying a couple properties that I have for sale. That's going to gauge enough interest from that agent to want to reach out to you to be like, who is Avril? What do they mean they have deals? Are they an agent? Is it off market? Are they a wholesaler? I don't know. So if you're able to get that kind of interest sparked, they're then going to reach back out to you. Now, if you want to do that from email, text, voicemail, all of the above, knock yourself out, have fun. I found the one that is going to be the best is the one that you could stay the most consistent with. So email wise, I'm not the email guy. I am the text guy. I'm not trying to be some Gen Z guy that's just like, I don't want to talk to people on the phone, obviously. I just want to be the guy that can do things that most people will be receptive to. So in this case, if they're getting more receptive to a text message as opposed to a phone call, it's also for me to be able to go in and just text 15 different people. So in this case, what I do after I'm off the phone with a lot of people that are agents that have the buyers, I send them a text saying, hey, don't forget to send me over your email. I changed the name of the contact to who the agent was in the company name. If you have an iPhone, it pops up underneath their name. I put the address in reference to. So as for follow-up times, dates, can't give away everything that we do in agent investors, but if it's a good buyer relationship, once a week. If it's a so-so buyer relationship, or when you're trying to form, kind of like solidify, nurture, whatever you want to call that, once every 2-3 weeks. It's just going to be dependent on when you have a deal. Like, you don't want to be just messaging buyers or agents that have buyers if you don't have things to send to follow up with. You want to be able to follow up with them as you're finding opportunities.
Absolutely.
Cool.
That's great stuff right there, man. I mean, by the way, you guys, if you're not an agent investors, you should definitely look into it. I know that we got some agent investor people here, but I had the pleasure of going to the mastermind a couple months ago, and I tell you what, it was amazing. So look into agent investors. It's great to be part of a community. It's great to be part of a program where you are working with somebody who leads the organization that's actually doing deals themselves. Most people who have coaching programs aren't doing deals. They're not great at doing deals, but they're good at selling coaching. So with agent investors, that's not the case. Ryan's doing deals. People on his team are doing deals. And so they've got their finger on the pulse of the market. They know what's working today that maybe wasn't working 6 months ago. So make sure you guys check that out.
Absolutely. And I just dropped below a banner. I'll let it run for a second. You guys can go to agentinvestors.com, schedule a call with my team if you guys are interested in more information. You can use the code Privy to get a discount. Our goal, and it sounds like super cliche, also probably bad sales, but might be good sales. I don't even know. I'm not here to sell people. I'm here to provide value. That's why Benson and I have done 17 episodes of property hunting with Privy. We want to show you guys what, and I appreciate all the compliments, Benson, by the way. We want to show you guys that transparently, again, this is the business model I do. And if it's not for you, I still love you and I appreciate you. What I always challenge people is, if you're looking for a change, you're going to find whatever it is you're looking for. 9 times out of 10, what you need is just accountability and guidance. And I do feel qualified that this is a strategy that we have mastered. I mean, we're ticking up there on 500 deals using this strategy. You know what the coolest part is? It's $0 in marketing. Like, literally, it doesn't cost anything every single month. We use Privy. We rock and roll with that in our Florida market, which right now is our best market. And we're able to go and do this at a very high level. So use code Privy, schedule a call with the team, see if we're a good fit for you guys. We want to show you guys how this business model is amazing. We're not trying to convince you or sell you on any kind of program that doesn't benefit you. So we appreciate you guys.
Oh, yeah. So you guys, up to this point, we've called a couple agents. We got one on the line. At some point, you're going to want to have some deals that you can actually sell, right? So I'm going to give you a couple different ways where you can generate leads. Now, the first way is what Ryan was trying to do with Rochelle, which is communicate with her and potentially get some pocket listings, some listings that maybe Rochelle has a seller that, you know what, they just don't want to go through the hassle of putting their house on the market and having a bunch of people walk through the house and, criticize all the things that are damaged. And they don't want to make sure they have to get rid of all their pictures of their family and stuff. So they just want to sell it, but not on market. So they could have Rochelle go out and find someone like Ryan who can take that property off their hands and they don't have to list it. The other way is you can go and you can find properties off market in Privy too. We don't talk about it a lot because it is a strategy that can be expensive and maybe you're just not into spending money on marketing. But if you did want to generate a list of, say, like foreclosures or zombie properties or tired landlords or absentee owners, you can pull up to 10,000 leads per month from Privy with the very same platform that you're looking at right now for no extra cost. It's free. Okay. That's a way to do that. Another potential source of buyers, right now we're looking at fix and flip buyers, is absentee owners. Absentee owners are landlords. They're people that own rental properties. Sometimes landlords are great buyers to work with too.
Or they have properties to sell.
Or they have properties to sell. Exactly. So there's dual function. I like to actually call them from the perspective of, hey, we got some potential deals. You want to be on my buyer's list. And then if they're like, no, we're not buying right now, then the conversation is turned, and then you're asking, well, then you have anything in your portfolio you want to get rid of? We're always looking for properties. And so, that most of the time, the most difficult piece of those conversations is just getting them on the phone. But with those people, there's two angles. So you can pull those lists from Privy as well.
I love
so you
it.
can get off-market leads, and then there's the on-market deal finder. So before, again, that tool was on the top. All we did was just move it from the top row so we could make room for the agent info to right here in the map. And it by default, it's open, but you can close it right here. That way it's not in the way and it gets translucent. So it's right here. You can click it and it'll pop back up. So let's look for some deals that we could potentially make the numbers work that are on market by clicking this find similar active deals button.
Yes, sir.
So let's look here and see what we came up with. This right here is running, and now it's going to show us some properties that are currently on the market that could be good deals. So let's check this one out. Now, there are different strategies. There's some people that like to go for properties as soon as they come on the market, and some of those you can make work. You just got to get to them quickly. That's why you want to go and save those searches so that you're alerted as soon as these things come on the market. This one just came on the market. Also, there's a strategy where you can set a filter inside of Privy to show you some stuff that's been seasoned. So if you want to go after properties that have been on the market for 30 or 60 or 90 days, you can set that search up in Privy and then be notified. But the algorithm is going to be pulling comps on these things and identifying potential deals for you. So this one right here, it's listed for $215,000. You can see from the exterior, it needs some work. Interior does too, but it's not like horrible. Like this thing isn't, there's no fire.
Not terrible.
Yeah. They started some demo. And if we come down here into the comparables, this is going to show us the comps. So the subject property is in the middle here, and all of the houses that are blue are saying that this property has a percentage of ARV that's lower than what our default search was, which is 75%. And then come down into here, and I can look at all the comps that are blue, and I can see that we got comps, some flips that go all the way up to 445, 385. Now pay attention to the actual current status of the comp, because we show you all comps. And no, comparable doesn't mean sold. Comparable just means it's similar to your house. They could be active, under contract. Yes, you want sold comps because those are going to help you to better identify what the final sold price is. But in the shifting market, and Ryan, you know this better than most, people are using pending and under contract comps to help them identify value as well, right?
We just went through this last week, actually, in our agent investors coaching call. And I talked about the rule of thumb right now for us in 2023, always putting my disclaimer. It is 7/12/2023. July 12th, 2023, 30 to 60 days as my comps. Anything 60 to 90, I'm not touching. I'm actually looking at active and pending after that. After active and pending, then I'm going to go look at 60 to 90 days, 90 plus days. After that, zoom out, take a step back, look like an appraiser, 0.5 mile radius, ideally not crossing any major intersections, but at that point you have to find something that's comparable. So 30 to 60 and active and pending, it's where the money's at.
So you actually have the ability to do that right here in the system, you guys. So our comps, by default, we do 8 months. Okay, 8 months is too long, but we put it out far enough so that you can sort by sold date to just use the ones that are closest. But if you want to just cut it off, then you can go right here. And if you click this once, that's 30 days. Actually, go back the other way. This way, there's 30 days. That's 60 days. So I can click that, and now that'll cut it off. So you're not going any further back than May 12th, right? So we give you the ability to adjust that. So sold date range you can adjust. We also have the ability to adjust what a comp is. So we are looking at properties that are within a 15% tolerance of the square feet. We're matching up stories. Our comp radius is 0.5%. I'm sorry, 0.5 miles. But we give you the ability to adjust all of this right here in line. So you don't have to be a comping expert. The system is doing the majority of that for you so that you can quickly look at a property, see if the numbers work, and take action. Because if you're bouncing all over the internet looking for comps and you don't really know what's what and it's taken forever, well, that deal likely was already gone.
Benson, just because I think we were foreshadowing just a little bit here. Hopefully, if I put this together and I'm teeing you up,
What's
is this
purple?
is this the update?
This is part of the update. So, Alfred, thanks for that, and I appreciate the softball. I'm going to knock it out of the park now. So, those are rental comps. So when we look at the settings here, and we had rental comps before you guys, but we just added over 130 million new rental comp data points into Privy, and it's always updating. So when you're analyzing a rental property, you want to be able to determine if a property will cash flow, right? You got to compare your mortgage payment or your estimated mortgage payment to what the rents are. Now that's for long-term rentals, right? But there's other strategies out there that many of you are likely doing, like subject to or seller financing. Those two strategies, you're also looking at rentals. So rental data is essential regardless of what your strategy is. If you're thinking about creative deal structure, you have to know rents. So we have rentals in here now. So the purple ones are the rental comps, and you can see here what the different ones are renting for. These are real comps. These aren't estimations like you would get from like a Rent-O-Meter. Rent-O-Meter is great. I've used Rent-O-Meter in the past, but I think unless you pay for the premium, you're not going to get the actual comps.
It's the same as AirDNA. AirDNA for like Airbnbs. It's a great resource, but if you don't pay the premium, it's like get
right.
Yeah.
And then you can open up their actual rental comps, and guess what? We got photos. So we can actually come in here and say, well, this is a rental comp. What condition is it in? Is it rental grade? Has it been renovated? Is it just like trash, but people are still renting it? Well, then you can adjust this up or down. If you got a house that actually is higher end and it's renting for $1,600, and yours is, it's linoleum and it's Formica and it's like mismatched appliances, well, you're not going to get $1,600 a month. So we really have beefed up the rental data set to help you get better information to make decisions on. But here's the other cool thing, right? So we found a deal that we can go write an offer on that could potentially be wholesaled, right? Now we know this is an area where we can find good properties. We got good buyers. We've got investor-friendly agents. Let's look for a rental property that matches our criteria. So we got a brand new thing all the way over here to the right where it says long-term rentals. If you click that button, it shows us 4 different ways to measure a rental property. 2 of them are the most common: cap rates and cash-on-cash return. Cap rates is likely the most common, but what I'm learning from some rental experts is that is mostly used for commercial properties. Do people use it for rental properties as well? They definitely do. Cash-on-cash return right here actually takes into consideration the expected rent, the expenses, and the cash investment into the property. Like, how much work does it need? Then we got annualized return, which takes into consideration the amount of equity that's in the property as well, cash flow and appreciation. So this is going to think about the property over an annualized term. So how much time is there? How much will the property increase in value over a certain time? And the gross yield also takes into consideration the gross rent, and then they divide that by the purchase price. So it's 4 different ways. So let's say we wanted to use cap rate, and we said, show me every property that I can buy right now that's at a 5% cap rate and maybe is for sale for less than $430,000 and is at least 2 bedrooms. Right? You can really drill down on what you're looking for. The thing that makes us very unique that no one else is doing is that we're running the analysis for you behind the scenes with the rental data. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. And this is going to show me some properties that are available right now. So lo and behold, look at this house. The very first one on the list, dude, is the house we just looked at that would be a good wholesale deal. Now, this could also, think about this now, be a good wholesale deal to not just flippers, but also landlords. So we're opening up your world here to, even if you're not ready for properties yourself yet to be a rental in your portfolio, because you're just not there liquidity wise or income wise or with your credit, Well, this would be a great wholesale deal to a landlord.
A buy and hold investor. A buy and hold investor would look for the numbers just like this. And Benson,
Yep.
what's even crossing my mind, not to ever promote going and chasing a bunch of different shiny objects, but those of you that work with big institutional buyers or hedge funds, cough, cough, nudge, nudge. Here you go. Like,
absolutely. So, what we do here is we actually show you the numbers at the very bottom. So in phase 1 of this release, we show you all of the numbers so you can see what numbers that we're pumping into this black box. It's not just a black box like you might see someplace else. So these are all the real numbers. I was just in a dev meeting with our team earlier, and they're working on the next release, which is going to give you the ability to come in and edit all of this. So you can say, you know what? What if I got it for 200 grand? What would happen to my cap rate? Does it go up? Does it go down? What if I put 50% down instead of 20%? What does that do to my numbers? So this is all really cool things that we're working on, you guys, and it's already available. So if you don't have a Privy account, now is the time to get in and get signed up. If you're already a Privy user and you're thinking about doing rentals, well, you have no reason now to not do it.
Benson, this is incredible. I feel like today was a really good informational video. We obviously got a couple agents on the phone, just talking to them about, trying to see if they'd be interested in buyers. Today was a lot of overview, and I think it's really important to be able to go back and watch this. This seems to be like one of the very first videos, at least I've seen, of Privy going in, breaking down all the rental updates and all of the stuff that's new and improved in the software. So guys, make sure to go back and rewatch this again. Comment below, leave a like. You guys are incredible in the chat today. I've been watching so much activity, so much love, a lot of collaboration. We do this show for that exact purpose. And as we always say, give feedback, give honest opinion as to what's going on and what could be done better for the software so they can go in and continuously improve it. This right here is a game changer. So whether you are just getting started or a seasoned investor, this is something that I could tell you, my team and I, we're going to go and play around with this after this show between now and my diamond tier call this afternoon. So there is a lot of opportunity. There is a lot of value. There's a lot of just consistency going on here with the community. So I appreciate you guys. Benson, any last thoughts or anything you want to leave everyone with on this one today?
Yeah, for sure. If you are an action taker and you want to get in and get going, let me give you the link to get signed up.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. The software pays for itself literally in the very first deal with a positive return if you do this business model right. So this is incredible. And guys too, also, if you're not inside our Discord community, we've got live calls to agents and trainings every single morning with Patrick Conley. So he's one of our diamond tier students. Him and Catherine are incredible people. They are literally out there making this stuff happen. So if you guys are trying to find community, you're trying to find collaboration, you even just want to dip your toes in the water, our Discord community has free coaching every morning. Show up, just be a fly on the wall, ask some questions, kind of get the vibe and see if it's something you'd be interested in. I'll put the banner across one last time before we call it here. But guys, this is agentinvestors.com/Discord. It will bring you to our link. Our Discord's free. There's no games, no gimmicks. Very transparently, again, there is secret channels and some cool stuff that happens for those that are inside Agent Investors. But for the free version, you get free coaching, you get free communication, free collaboration as a community. And also I'm inside there answering questions. So rather than having to wait for next Wednesday to be able to go and watch the video, you guys can get us in real time. Our whole goal, again, is to really just show you guys the rope, be as honest and authentic as possible with you guys. And from there, let's make some money. Let's get some deals. Let's JV some stuff. If you guys have deals in Arizona or in Florida, please, please, please send me your deals. I would love it. I want to make you guys some money. We are buying flips. We are buying rentals. We have buyers that are buying flips and buying rentals. Let's JV. Let's work together. Make some money. Appreciate you guys. We will see you guys next week. If you guys need anything, well, you know where to find us. Peace out.
Bye, everyone.